Hello class, so I decided to do my unit activity on the pre-war conflicts between the Boston Massacre and Boston Tea Party. So related themes to these both are mercantilism, Paul Revere, protest, and then revolution. So the Boston Massacre and American Revolution, here's just some 7 bullet points that I thought were pretty interesting of what I learned, and as well as just highlighting kind of the main event of it, the summarization of it. So the Boston Massacre happened on March 15, 1770, where 5 Boston colonist men died between tensions between British soldiers. Paul Revere fueled the depiction by creating a visual presentation of aggressive Britons killing Boston colonists. The British soldiers were put on trial for killings, however they were found acquitted. John Adams sparked controversy after defending the British soldiers, and through this, the anger increased in the Boston colonies. The Boston Massacre shaped the American Revolution by increasing Boston colonists' resentment towards the British. So just through Paul Revere's actions of just creating that visual presentation of the Boston Massacre, it really enraged it enraged the colonists, and it just kind of like, it made things worse than what they already were. So again, I have the Boston Tea Party and American Revolution. I just have about 7 bullet points pointing out, the summary of it, what I thought was important. So the Boston Tea Party happened on December 16, 1773. According to the American Revolution, oversimplified, the British put a tax protest against the Tea Act. The colonists felt like they were being taxed without representation. The Sons of Liberty led the protest in which all the colonists disguised themselves as Native Americans. The British did not see this as a protest, but as an act of lawlessness, quoted by the American App. Through the Boston Tea Party, it enticed many colonists to rebel and protest against British rule, led to Britain passing the Intolerable Act as a punishment to Massachusetts. So yes, we see that some things I didn't know that they dressed as Native Americans. I guess I kind of slipped my mind, but just over looking at this, it's another thing that kind of sparked the American Revolution, because it just, the British, they were already on their, like, it was just, things were already rocky before that happened. So just with this, it's just like, once you keep adding fuel to the fire, it's just gonna explode eventually. So that's kind of what this was. So analysis and new insights learned. Through the readings and the videos, as I analyze it, I can understand both perspectives. For one, in the Boston Massacre, the Boston colonists were upset with the British. On the other hand, the British soldiers felt as if they were doing their job and acted of self-defense. So just reading through this, I could see different perspectives on the Boston Massacre, because on one end, the colonists are upset that these British people are in their land, and then the British soldiers, it's just like when it's tension, and they feel like, okay, well, they're harassing me, and so I have to self-defend myself. But so that's where that is. And then some new insights that I learned were that there were 5 men killed in the massacre, one of them being a Black American, so an African American. I didn't know that. I didn't know that an African American man was killed, let alone 5 men were killed. I thought it was actually a little bit more than 5 men, because of it saying the Boston Massacre. You think, okay, this is probably a lot more, but it's still a sad thing. But so the Sons of Liberty dressed as Native Americans. I did not know that. I kind of forgot, you could say. But it just, when you think of it, it doesn't really, I didn't know that. So it was just really, interesting to learn that and to just revamp my memory on that, because that's also an important part of history. So I understand why the colonists were mad about the British soldiers being in their town. So I understand why the colonists were mad, because if you just think about it, think about if there's just other soldiers in your town, and you're just kind of like, okay, and they're taxing you and they're doing all these things. So I understand how it could have progressed to that, which led to the Boston Massacre, because they're already on edge, and then just seeing them in the streets in their town, it could just be a little, unheated for someone. So the information was a great refresher on what happened before the war. So yes, this was a great refresher because a lot of people, they know about the American Revolution, but honestly they don't know about the steps leading up to it. So it's a good revamp to learn about the Boston Massacre and the Boston Tea Party, because it's just, you could see it really puts the American Revolution into perspective, because you see kind of what happened before that. So you're just like, okay, I understand now, like, why it had to go to that point. So, but thank you for watching, and